Well, let's bring in our panel for reaction. Political commentator Derryck Green and host of Tony Katz Today and host of Eat, Drink, Smoke, Tony Katz, and also retired U.S. Secret Service agent and Republican strategist Dr. Melanie Burkholder. Welcome to everyone. Dr. Burkholder, I'll start with you. Just your thoughts on the breaking news coming out of Afghanistan.
Well, I think we originally accomplished the goals in Afghanistan. The Taliban is taking over Afghanistan. It's very unfortunate. I feel like we were almost Santa Claus in this situation where we went in and the gifts that we gave were, I don't know, simple things like letting women learn to read and educate them. And now it's like Santa is picking up those gifts and leaving. And I don't think that's fair. However, I do support withdrawing the troops from Afghanistan. And what we have in those 4,000 employees there is really scary right now because the Taliban is on the move and they're taking over. So we've got to do something swiftly, smartly, and with expertise that I know our military can handle.
Yeah, you know, Tony, 20 years of this. The United States first invaded Afghanistan back in 2001. So it is time to get our troops out. That's how a lot of folks feel.
Well, first things first, I don't know if our military can handle this. And it's not because our military are bad people. It's because our leadership has a complete and total lack of will and has had a lack of will for a great long time. You're talking about 11 provincial capitals that have been taken by the Taliban. They're very worried that Kabul could be taken. This, of course, is the embassy conversation. As the New York Times reported, and you can catch that from the National Review people, they're trying to offer, the U.S. is trying to offer money as an incentive to get the Taliban not to go after Kabul and not to go after the embassy. The story here is not the withdrawal. You knew President Trump wanted to withdraw as well. It's the absolute incompetence by which you did not understand what the Taliban was going to do. You're surprised by this? Shocked by this? You're the only one, President Biden. You're the only person shocked and surprised by this. And when you have to send in 3,000 troops after you made a big deal of withdrawal in order to ensure that American lives are safe, you failed at the one thing you said you were going to do. This is ugly. He made it ugly. And his surprise by the Taliban's moving and maneuvering is simply impossible for a guy who has spent 40+ years in public office and everyone telling us how great he is at foreign policy.
Yeah. Derryck, former President Trump released this statement on Afghanistan saying, in part, I personally had discussions with top Taliban leaders whereby they understood what they're doing now would not have been acceptable. It would have been a much different and much more successful withdrawal, and the Taliban understood that better than anyone. So, Derryck, how do you think this withdrawal should have been handled, and what are your thoughts on what's happening today?
Well, I don't know if we can say for certain if the Taliban would have agreed to the terms that President Trump just communicated. Again, it's really difficult to negotiate with evil to predict that they're going to agree with you, on the back end. But one thing that I can say is that I wouldn't have announced so publicly the withdrawal, because when you announce that publicly, as Tony was saying, not only do they take over 10 or 11 capitals, which they've done in less than 30 days, but they're going door to door and taking women or young girls as sex slaves. These women are going to be in sexual servitude for the rest of their lives. They're massacring government Afghan troops, and they're sending videos of that across the world. So I just think that when you telegraph what you're going to do, evil is going to come in and fill that void. And I think that was a strategic mistake for President Biden to do. And I just, it's unfortunate because we're leaving a lot of these people defenseless. These people who are surrendering to the Taliban, they're just being killed. They're being beheaded in the streets and killed. And so I just think that that's something that should have been very, very predictable on the front end, to have encouraged President Biden to move it slower.
Yeah, exactly. You could predict. We knew this was going to happen if we let it happen. And that's the problem. So now we're trying to go back and fix it. Hopefully the Americans and people who have helped us can get out of that embassy safely.